Alright, welcome back to another Boom video. So do you ever think about board volume versus your weight and how volume is such a key factor in having a good session and making the most of your time on the water? So in this video I'm going to talk about my setup and then we'll pass over to Nick for his view. So I'm going to put this out there. I think that most people, unless sailing solid groundswell waves with 5 meter sails or below, sail with too little volume in the boards. So for example, I'm 90 kilograms. With my wetsuit on, my harness, and in the winter boots and gloves and helmet, they weigh another 7 kilograms. So in total, that's 97 kilograms. I don't think people factor that additional weight of wetsuits and stuff on top in relation to the boards that they're sailing. So for me, my regular sailing conditions is strong currents, often gusty wind, wind swell, cross-on or cross-on ground swell. Therefore having enough volume under my feet really helps me make the most of those not perfect conditions, and that's what it's all about, having the most fun on the water. I've got my Simmer Quantum 115, which is sail with a 6.2 to a 5.2, and I can sail that in bump and jump conditions and in proper wave sailing conditions as well, so down the line and sort of cross-on European mush, because it's just a big wave board, but there's loads of volume and it's really easy and it's fun. Then I go down to my Pyro 93. A Pyro 93 is sail with a 5.2 down to a 4.4, again pending the conditions, and that's just on the limit for me in terms of a bit of float. So clearly, just above my kilogram to volume ratio, but again powered up, fantastic, and it's got loads of volume to keep me going through gusts if I need it, which is superb. And then I've got a Nuevo 86, and my Nuevo 86 I would sail again from a 5.2 down to 4 meter. Now this is 86 litres, so this has no spare volume, and I definitely have felt recently sailing this compared to the Pyro, it's more technical, it's harder to get going unexpectedly because of the lower volume. It's still good fun, but this is easier, and if I'm short on time or short on a compressed session, this will give me more bang for my buck effectively from a volume perspective in that session. So I guess I have a strong feeling that volume shouldn't be the deciding factor to determine how good a sailor you are. Modern wave boards and modern free wave boards are way more accessible than ever, and can handle a bit more volume but still perform really well, which is cool. And I think I've chosen to have a 3-board quiver. That's my choice. But if I just had to have a 1-board quiver, I'd probably go for a 105, because that would kind of bridge the gap between all these boards. And just as an example, there's Quattro Power Pro 105, fantastic all-round board. Goya 13 Pro 105, again superb board. The Simmer Quantum 105 and the Pyro 105. So there's many other boards as well, but there's just a selection of 4 or 5 boards that will give you one board for all-round conditions, unless you want to have a 2 or 3 board quiver. Okay, that's my view. Let's see what Nick has to say.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I'd like to take you through my 3 boards, my quiver, my weight ratios, as it were. I'm 86 kilos. These are my 3 boards. I have an 87 litre Pyramid Pro. I have my Goya 13 Pro 95 and my 115 Goya 13 Pro. Now I've got some very recent experience which kind of summarises my thoughts on this. My 87, I recently sailed a couple of big windy days with a 3.7. Now I found that was too small. That kind of board, this is a little bit less of an all-round wave board than Paul's small wave board. Much narrower in the tail, much more extreme, much more for down the line. Next time it's 3.7 weather, I'll be taking my 95. It copes with the wind really well. I've sailed that with my 4.2, my 4.7, my 5.3. It's always good. I was out on it yesterday with a 4.2 and I never at any point feel like it's too much board. It's the right size for me. My 115 comes into action when it's not quite as windy, where some guys are maybe out of 5.8, 6 meters. I love to use that with a 5.3, 5.5 type size, still very maneuverable, and it allows me to learn tricks and to improve my sailing. So I think that's what it comes down to for me. If you get your volume and your weight ratio correct, you can improve your sailing quicker, you can get more out of the conditions that you're in. So the conditions that I sail in are cross shore, cross onshore, wind and chop, wind blown waves and chop. I'm 86 kilos, as Paul said. Your gear when it's wet, 7 kilos, maybe a little lighter in the summer, but essentially it's still adding that weight in. So overall, I find for my weight, the 95 suits me down to the ground. So what we'd like you to do, guys, is to write in the comments your weight and your board preference and your board volume preference, and it'll be really interesting to hear what you think is the right formula for you. And you know, let's have a discussion about it, because I think this is really important and will help you improve your sailing and help you get the most out of your windsurfing. Thank you. Cheers.